Respect, trust, responsibility, and courage will be our building blocks for this lesson. I want to advise you all to challenge yourself in this lesson. Be honest and evaluate yourself where you are and where you want to improve. Let's start mastering these skills and building your competencies. A quote for today: I speak to everyone in the same way, whether he is the garbage man or the president of the university. Albert Einstein. Let's kick off this lesson with the key principles of leadership. We are at lesson 5. So what are our objectives? Today we have be respectful, build trust, and be responsible and lead with courage. For our first topic, we will look at strive to be a respectful leader and manager. So what does that mean? Well, first off, make improvements, not excuses. Seek respect, not attention, by Roy T. Bennett. So let's kick off with the first meaning. What does respect mean to you? Well, according to the Incentive magazine, respectful leadership is defined as giving others, regardless of their or your status, the same kind of genuine regard and consideration that you would want them to give you. So, let's look at what happens when respect is not at the heart of leadership. Number 1, we see the boss who shouts. We can see that respect is not always the main tool that leaders and managers use. As a result, we see unhappy employees and employees unwilling to leave the company and look for a better company culture. What happens when a boss shouts and yells? Well, we see that the person is barking commands. Jump at anything that goes wrong, and this manager and leader struggles to display respect. As a result, employees are scared. They also don't want to show respect back. Then, the ineffective boss. We see that this leader or this manager does as little as they possibly can. They make empty promises and they refuse to engage. This type of leadership has little respect for the employees. Employees do not trust this manager or leader, nor do they see the manager as effective. This distrust can lead to employees hiding their mistakes or trying to do as little as possible. The what if moments. So, this helps with menial chores. It expedites the process. Or you see people going home earlier. The manager does not empower the employees but focuses on the negative. The leadership also leaves the employees with very little respect for that manager or leader. We see this manager and leader focus more on what is wrong and not focus on the people and leading them. When we do have respect in place, the following happens. We see that it meets the basic needs of the employee. So, number 1, renewal. It resets and renews the energy, serving as an antidote to increase overloaded employees. Employees feel comfortable at work and they feel like they can be honest. They respect their manager and their leader to guide them at their work. Value. When a leader and a manager is respectful, the employees feel valued and that they are treated as a person and not just a number. Feeling valued creates a deeper sense of trust and security. Next, we see focus. Leaders and managers can use respect to increase the focus for their teams. The employees feel respected and therefore they are more willing to be effective at their jobs. They focus on getting the job done, they use less time, less resources, and with a higher level of quality. Lastly, we see purpose. Respectful leaders can create a sense of purpose. This purpose creates that people think what they are doing matters, and it serves a greater interest than our own. Moving on. Let's earn rather than demand respect. So how can we do this? Well, we have 6 ways. Number 1, be punctual. So that means time management matters. Making people wait diminishes respect. Be consistent. If you do what you say you will, people will recognize that and respond to it. Be responsive. Leaders should always be available. Employees need to know that when they need you, you will be there. They are able to reach you. Forgive mistakes. Don't penalize those who try to create and solve problems on their own. We need to accept that they are going to make mistakes and that they need help and guidance. Next, be proactive. help those struggling, but be firm. We need to do our best as a team in order to succeed. Lastly, show respect. It's easy to criticize when others are messing up, but when we do it, we want people to be patient with us and be understanding. So, support someone, even in an error. We need them to bounce back and be stronger as our employees and be part of our teams. We also see, how can you build respect? Well, number one, you show passion and purpose. Show passion for the purpose of your organization and constantly drive an interest in it. People are drawn to and generally want to follow passionate people. We want to demonstrate confidence. Only people in positions of authority who don't show confidence, especially in their teams, struggle. It is important to share the same confidence with your team members and those who report to you. We want to look at engaging our employees. Engagement means we are being active and attentive listeners. Roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty. Be noticeable. Be grateful for the effort and the performance that your employees and your team is giving you. Let's look at the steps to earn this respect. Number one, set this standard. We want a strong work ethic. This means our actions are stronger than our words. Prove your work ethic and that you are willing to work harder than anyone else. Be courageous. Don't be afraid to take risks. Change the conversation, challenge the status quo, and admit when you are wrong. Serve others. This means we sponsor potential. Develop the talent at your disposal. Discover the next generation of leaders. Next, be present. This means being authentic. Execute presence in a genuine manner. Welcome constructive dialogue and live the personal brand. Then we want back up your employees. This means you do not hog all the credit. You recognize others. You appreciate your team. Build momentum and focus on innovation. Let's look at topic number 2. Here we see build trust. With that, I have a wonderful video from Capture Your Flag. In this video, Simon Sinek will discuss building trust through commitment leadership. Okay, so let's have a great look.
Why is trust a leadership skill that should be taught?
That's a hard question. You can't teach people to trust. This is, I think, one of the reasons it's these subjects are dismissed as fluffy or unnecessary, is because they are inherently feelings. Trust is a feeling. That's what it is. Feelings. But that's what it is. Trust is a feeling, as is loyalty. These are feelings that we have towards people or organizations. And so, like all feelings, it's positive feelings. They have to be earned, and they evolve, and they take a series of actions to prove that you are worthy of trust. And so, no matter how excited you are to start a new job, no matter how excited they are to have you, you don't feel a part of the company immediately. It just doesn't happen. You don't know the language, you don't know the customs, you don't know the traditions, you don't fit in quite yet. They don't really know who you are. And over the course of time, little by little, you'll do little things, you'll put yourself out for others. Little by little, they'll give you a little more and a little more. And over the course of 6, 7, 8, 9 months, you'll actually start to feel like, I belong here, I feel like it, If you go years without feeling like you belong, you probably don't. Trust is not something that can be dictated. Trust me, or trust each other. Cooperate. Why don't you guys, if you guys cooperate, we'll have some more. It's not how it works. It's environmental. It's always environmental.
And for organizations that lack that environmental trust, how do you help organizations turn that around?
It comes from the commitment of leadership. Leaders determine the environment. Leaders determine how big and how porous the circle of safety is. You take a look at a company like Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs back in the 70s and 80s, they were the Boy Scouts of Wall Street. That's what they were referred to as. They believed in something called long-term greed, which is it's okay to make money, but they had this long perspective. And they were renowned for doing the right thing and sometimes taking short-term losses because it was the right thing to do. That was their culture, And through a series of poor management decisions, and then going public exaggerated some of those things. They no longer put as much weight on evaluating someone's cultural fit when making the hire. Now you had the sort of trader mentality started to, take hold inside the culture. And what you started to see was the disintegration of a high values culture, where it was no longer about protecting the reputation and protecting each other. It was now about protecting myself and advancing myself. And we've seen what's happened. They played a role in what we've seen happen to the economy, because without a circle of safety, what happens is we inherently concern ourselves with our own survival. Biologically, we become cynical, we become selfish, and we become paranoid. That's what happens when we don't feel trust. When you don't trust somebody who that you live with, when you don't trust somebody in a relationship, you become paranoid that everything they're doing is trying to hurt you. We become cynical of everything they say. We become self-interested. We start doing things to protect ourselves and building walls. Well, it's the exact same thing inside organizations. When we do not feel safe, we will do things to protect ourselves, which will ultimately damage and hurt the culture and the company.
With that explanation fresh in our minds, let's look at trust explained. Well, according to Management Study Guide, trust seems to be the key trait linked with leadership. A leader cannot lead with his followers and not work with trust. Trust can be defined as the optimistic belief that others will not perform via words, acts, or final conclusions in any opportunistic matter. For trust is nurture, an appreciation atmosphere is needed. This responsibility rests with the leader in the organization. The employees will show absolute trust in the leader when they observe ideal character in the leaders. Leaders play a crucial role in the development and the maintenance of trust in the organizational employees. Let's move on to a quote. Here we see, while high trust won't necessarily rescue a poor strategy, low trust will almost always derail a good one, by Stephen Covey. So with that in mind, let's look at what is the value of trust. Well, number one, it is the foundation of any relationship. When the building and maintaining of a relationship is there, we need to see that trust is at the core. Trust set up the foundation for relationships and grows in a healthy manner. For example, employees are more likely to be honest when they fail or make a mistake when they trust their manager or leader. Number two, without trust, leadership is doomed. For example, employees are less likely to have a transparent relationship with their manager or leader. This means that in the long run, employees will develop bad habits, try to cope on their own. This means the employees are looking elsewhere for leadership and guidance instead of their own manager and leader. Number three, creativity is stifled. The employees do not feel comfortable with sharing their ideas. For example, your employee has a great idea to increase sales, but because the employee does not trust the manager or leader, he or she is uncomfortable sharing the idea because they are scared they will lose credit. Then number four, we see innovation grinds to a halt. Innovation happens when employees are allowed to explore alternative ideas. They can experiment with technology and concepts. When the employees do not trust their manager or leader, this leaves the company with little new ideas and innovation. Lastly, risk-taking is abandoned. If you can remember in lesson 1, we said Microsoft used risk-taking as a way to encourage and reward their employees. The same is true when a company does not value risk. Very little growth will happen in the company. Employees and managers will feel stuck and they might not even understand why. Little new leadership will emerge and the company will be stuck in the same loop. Let's have a look at a question. Do you think there is enough trust in your current team? I will give you guys a few seconds to answer. While you're thinking, I also want you to think of the trust in your company. When your team is doing well and you have trust, but the company does not, it also leads to several disadvantages. Your team can feel frustrated, they can look for other companies, and they can feel limited in their roles and their team. Let's have a look at how can we earn respect. Number 1, we need to earn it. This means we have to make a conscious effort and walk the walk. Keep your promises and align your behavior to your values. We need to tell the truth. We need to be honest. Communicate the facts. Avoid telling the employees what you think they want to hear. Show understanding and be transparent. Follow through. The employees need you to take action. Breaking a commitment will destroy any trust. Then, if you do have to break a commitment, you need to be honest and share the reasons with the employees. Number 4, trust is built over time. This means we need to be consistent. We cannot be occasional. Keep your commitments day after day and year after year. The leadership behaviors. This means modeling the behaviors that you want to see. Others are watching. Collaborate across teams and departments. Build an appreciative culture. We see employees and leaders get stuck when they only focus on their department. Then they struggle to work with different departments, and all departments struggle to collaborate and reach the company vision and missions. Moving on, a question I have for you all. Are you currently applying any of these steps to earn respect? Please type in your answer. Just a reminder, guys, these questions are aimed at helping you think and evaluate your current circumstances. This means looking at your company, looking at your current position, and your current team. Please make sure to write down these questions and answers so that you can refer back to it at a later stage. Okay, jumping back in. So, once we have trust, how can we maintain it? So let's look at a few ways. Number 1, clarity. When a leader is clear about the expectations, he or she is more likely to get it because the employees will align themselves to ensure they understand what needs to be done. Number 2, compassion. Never underestimate the power of sincerely caring about another person. This also applies to your employees. People want to know that you care about them and that you will be there for them when they need you. Character. People notice those who do what is right ahead of what is easy. Lastly, we see competency. Competency is the ability to learn even in chaos. We also see that arrogance and a "I've been there, done that" attitude will prevent you from growing. Let's look at the rest of our ways to maintain trust. We have connection. Ask questions, listen, and above all, show gratitude. It's the primary trait of truly talented connectors. We see commitment. People believe in those who stand through adversity, that you are there for the long run. Consistency. As we said before, consistency makes people feel safe because they know what to expect and they know what they have to do. Great leaders consistently do small things, but they put important things first. Lastly, we see contribution. Be a contributor who believes in real results. So don't add fluff, add real contributions, real systems, real reward that the employees can see and appreciate. So there you have it. Before we go into our next topic, I have a little sneak peek that I would love to share with you all. In Lesson 6, we are going to explore the importance of culture. We are going to look at how the mission and the vision of the company plays into the company culture. Then, finally, we will evaluate your current culture and how we can change it. We want to make sure that we are giving you guys practical skills and abilities to be able to take back to your current role and company. With that, let's move on to topic number 3. Here we have take responsibility. This is something that we all want, but it can be so difficult at times because we have different factors influencing us. So, a great quote by Winston Churchill: "The price of greatness is responsibility." So, let's look at key components. Here we have the importance of responsibility. Number 1, protect. We look after our people. Leadership should primarily benefit the followers rather than the leader. This is a very difficult concept for a lot of people. So we are serving our employees. Number 2, power. It's not about the power. Responsibility to those you lead. It's not about your position, but because you have authority, you want to serve your employees. You understand how big of a responsibility it is to have power. Then strategy. A group needs strategy. It needs a framework. So that means we have systems, resources, processes in place so that employees feel empowered to do their jobs. We pull together a group and it takes communication. Criticism. We invite open criticism. And like we said again with a growth mindset, we need to prepare ourselves for criticism. Change the way that you use language. Even though someone is saying something is bad, you are allowing yourself to grow and improve. Walking around and talking with employees helps you understand what they think, what they expect, and how you can create systems and processes in order to meet those expectations. What is meant by responsible leadership? Well, number 1, you cast your vision. The leader and the manager has to set up the responsible vision, the vision for the company and the employees. So you are setting it up and taking responsibility for your plan. Next, you set the direction. The employee uses the tools like mission, vision, KPIs, and many more to set up the direction of the company. It is up to the leader to use these tools responsibly. The leader is responsible for the company, the revenue, and the job security of the employees. It is a very important task of the leader to understand where we are going and how to get there. Next, find a successor. Responsible leaders and managers plan for the future. The leader and the manager has to find a successor. This is because the leader and the manager has to help coach and mentor the next successor. By allowing the successor to train and develop, the company will be able to have a better handover. The leader is responsible for leaving the company in a better state than they found it, but they are also there to improve on the sustainability. That means when they leave, the company still has to be in a good state, and that is why we need to identify talent, train them, and allow them to take over. Lastly, develop talent and the next generation of leaders. We need leaders to create more leaders. Responsible leadership means that leaders are investing back into the company. Great companies have effective talent management. Effective development programs will lead to more effective leaders, looking at the next generation, and more innovation. How to build a responsibility mindset. This is a practical exercise. I will ask you all questions related to 6 topics. Please make sure to note down the questions so that you have enough time to think and answer. Number 1, awareness. How can I know myself better? This means it is important to take the time to know your values, your goals as a person and as a leader. Next, vision. How do I envision myself in 5 years? To help you, are you in the same company? What position do you want? And what should your salary be in 5 years? Next, imagination. Can you see yourself as a different person, a different manager, or a different leader? Are you able to change to meet your goals? Number 4, responsibility. How can you maintain and extend your own sense of responsibility as a leader? Just a reminder, guys, please make sure to write down the questions and take your time with these answers. Very, very important. Number 5, action. How can you cultivate the strength of character that will inspire trust and walk the walk? Lastly, paradigm shift. Are you able to effectively apply all these tools and knowledge? can you shift from one mindset to another? With that, let's move on to our final topic. In order to use being respectful, building trust, and being responsible, we need to have courage as managers and leaders. So, let's look at steps at being courageous. A quote, "Leading with courage. Courage is the first of human qualities because it's the quality that guarantees the others," by Aristotle. So what does this mean for us? Well, courage in leadership and why it's so uncomfortable. Step up. When was the last time you had to step up and call something out? I know this is such a difficult topic because at times it's just easier to let something go. Then, how did you feel? When you stepped up and you called something out, did it make you feel comfortable? Did you feel uncomfortable? Were you empowered? And be tough. Leadership demands that you are making tough decisions at times that no one else wants to. Carry the consequences. So sometimes these decisions impact the people around us, and it can make it hard, stressful, and people want us to fail at times. Rejection. Building a relationship, fear of rejection can be uncomfortable because we all have a need to be liked. To make these tough decisions and be courageous can lead to people not liking us and rejecting us. Let's have a look at the 8 principles of courage in leadership. Number 1, we see courage requires humility. What it takes to stand up and listen is what it also takes to sit down and speak up. Number 2, be faithful to one's core values. Being faithful to one's core values, no matter what, and if necessary, to break away from the status quo, is a sign of courage. It requires us to take action. It means making decisions when times are tough and accepting the consequences of those decisions. Take risks. Consider the worst possible outcome and then dare to go forward. We see we need leaders to inspire when being courageous. We need leaders with the courage to expand, to change direction, and to move to the unknown. It's very personal being courageous. It means it looks at our personal values such as loyalty, integrity, and accountability. All of these are at the heart of leadership. Leaders don't ignore fear. Courage is not the absence of fear, but it is a required ability to move beyond that fear that we feel. And lastly, courage is a skill. It can be taught and learned. So if you don't have it right now, you don't have to give up. Courage, like anything else, is a skill that a leader and a manager can acquire because it's part of what we need to work with people. So what are the steps we can take to be courageous? Number 1, follow your gut. When someone says you're crazy, you never give up on your vision and your purpose. Take the risk and work harder than anyone else. Deliver the bad news. Face the critics. You have to believe in yourself and be strong in who you are. Look in the mirror. You don't want to live in denial. Challenge your comfort zone to push forward. Face your fears. It is never bad to have fear, but in times of fear, it is needed to keep pushing forward regardless of what we feel. Then we see stay the course. Being courageous takes patience. You need to hang in there. Don't wait. Be bold and take action. As we end this lesson, I have a challenge for all of you. Please review the questions that I asked in the lessons. Take your time to answer these questions and truly understand your management and leadership style. With that, I leave you with a quote from J.K. Rowling. It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to your enemies, but just as much to stand up to your friends. Thank you all, and I will speak to you soon.